Thanks, everybody. My name is Dean Kline. As Lehman mentioned, I'm Vice President of Communications and Marketing.
And by the way, if you noticed in the little film that we were showing, you could see the younger versions of us in the
Thanks. Yeah, I've had the opportunity to work with Lehman over the years in this program, and in joining PyTop, it was a chance to come back to this wonderful facility, this wonderful program. We have brought you a chance to look at and talk about our products as well, but the thing we wanted to first express was how much we believe in what you're doing. We believe that future success for students is dependent on project-based learning, on hands-on experiences, on finding ways to integrate technology into the real world. And you're learning that every day. And the teachers in this room who are helping you learn that, you owe them some thanks, because you're going to be getting to take those skills into the real world and creating things that haven't been created yet, and doing jobs that haven't been invented yet. You're learning not just how to do something, you're learning how to learn. And that's really, really powerful. And so at PyTop, that's what we're all about, and that's our mission. And so we are really proud to be able to be a sponsor of that. What I want to do is we're just going to introduce a video for you to watch for a moment so you can get a feel for a little bit more about PyTop. And then Jesse's going to give you some background on the company itself. And we're going to talk a little bit about these cool products. And you're going to learn today about some amazing ways you can integrate our technology into your race team efforts and to be successful. So why don't we go ahead and kick off the video, and we'll go from there.
Hopefully the Wi-Fi will be...
So coding is on
parts to it, being able to connect more modules to it.
PyTop has devices along with the computer to allow students to take the things they learn in physics and mathematics and apply it into real-world applications.
We are far from the city. And internet is going to, we're going to buffer for a moment just so you can see the rest of that. But this is a video that we're actually going to be displaying next week for about 6,000 educators at FETC in Orlando. And so you get a little sneak preview of that. And if it doesn't buffer through, we'll find another version of it to show you afterwards. But
there are so many technology jobs that go unfilled even today. So knowing that PyTop products are going to help my students possibly fulfill those jobs in the future is so rewarding to see.
We need a much better understanding of technology because that's what the future is being built off of.
All right. Can you guys hear me? Is this mic on? Are we on? And it's on. Maybe I should just figure it out. There you go. Oh, did that? Is that better? Great. All right. So I thought what I like to do normally is, so that was, for me, like a super slick video about like PyTop and what we do, and we're in over 2,000 schools now across America and Europe, and really what we do is try and put physical computing and like actual, what I would call like actual real learning in the classroom. But before I kind of get into that, I thought I'd show you some pictures from the beginning, because I feel like actually where I was at when I was like 26 is actually kind of close to where you guys are at now, and the kind of work that you're doing and the kind of projects that you're getting involved in this solar car challenge. So we have, this is our 3rd generation device. We're a team of nearly 60 people now. We have a 27,000 square foot factory in China where my co-founder lives and now speaks fluent Mandarin. We've got our headquarters in London with a big team out there. Will's come over from China, Adam's come over from London to say hey to you guys today, and we've got an office in Austin, Texas. But in June 2014, that's what these that's what those were. So this is a piece of wood that we nailed some PCBs into, and I'm sure you guys, these are yellow hand-etched circuit boards. you know, just 2-layer circuit boards that we did ourselves. Actually, the funny thing about this is that it has, the special thing about a PyTop is one of the things is that in terms of the circuitry, is that we convert, well, at that time we converted LVDS high-frequency signals to HDMI. And no one told us we couldn't just hand etch that, because it has to be done to like micrometer you know, specs. And we did it by hand, and it just worked, and it was actually but everyone said that it was impossible after we did it. And it was lucky we were never able to do it again. We had to get it prototyped properly after that. This is a fully working cardboard version of the laptop. It has new things like a trackpad integrated into it and a keyboard. And you can pick that one up and walk it around. But that's where we started, me and my co-founder. And when I was your age, I was in school doing computer science, and when I did CS, it was like, here's an Excel spreadsheet, and the whole project for a year. And I think particularly you guys in here are going to find this funny, is my whole project for the whole year was to work in Excel and spit out a receipt for someone who wanted to order a pond. And so, you know, I had to do things like calculate how much tarp they needed and how much that would cost, and then it put out a nice little invoice. And so when I was 15, that's what computer science was, and so I promptly dropped computer science as quickly as I could, and I did economics, history, and politics, all subjects which really didn't help me very much. When I went to university, and I really kind of wish I'd had exposure to something like this. You guys should feel super lucky. It's very, very cool to be able to actually build something to this scale, work in teams like this, and drive across country. I didn't have a driver's license when I was there. So this is the second picture I normally show. So that desk, me and my co-founder built it in my living room. That's a 3D printer that we built to make the first prototypes of PyTop. Who's got a Guinness Book of World Records 2017, last year's? Anybody? What's happening to their marketing team? It's on the internet. Yeah. Well, anyway, if you get one, they're probably on discount now, the 17. We're on page 195 because we through largely being broke at the time, we had to prototype in a really cost-effective way and just do like super lean engineering. And part of that was building a 3D printer and just building everything that we used to make the first PyTops. And we're in the Guinness Book of World Records because we were the first people ever to 3D print a laptop. A happy accident of trying to use new tech. But that's what the first one looked like that was 3D printed. It was beautiful at the time, and the reason that we use 3D printing, and does anybody use 3D printing in their solo cars? Yeah. It's great. It lets you, as you all know, it lets you make widgets, bits, and pieces that you need that you wouldn't be able to find anywhere else. Now, with the laptop, it let us try out a lot of designs really quickly. Although this particular one, and this is the only one printed like that, took 170 hours to print, and me and my co-founder had to sleep around the machine to like clip baubles off of it and do all so that it would actually print out. Because we promised the school that we would teach with a PyTop, and we had 5 days to print it out. You can do the math. Now anecdotal thing about 3D printing, you can prototype a whole bunch of stuff, and I thought that it would be really cool to have a power button like right above the trackpad because of the way that we had this laid out. I thought that would look really cool. It kind of looked like a cockpit, you know, like I just imagine like people turning on. And actually what happens if you put your button there above the trackpad like that, the first thing that everybody does with your laptop is turn it off and we found out real quick that that's like not the right thing to do. That's anecdotal. What doing this type of stuff actually did was allow us to hone down the project into something that people would actually buy. So then after all of that, we launched on Indiegogo, which is kind of like Kickstarter, where people pre-purchase your product, and then we actually had to go out and build it, which was a whole nother thing. We said that we would go from that 3D printed prototype that you see there to a fully working PyTop that looked kind of similar to this in 7 months. And shipped them out. And we didn't do it in 7 months, we did it in 9 months, which pretty good.
Did it on like a lot of projects.
Yeah, right? I'm proud of that one. But this is what our first injection molds looked like. So we had to make 6 injection molds to do the different bits and pieces of the body. So you've got the base there, the keyboard section, the front fascia, the second part to the keyboard section, the back of the lid, and then these little magnetic plates that we used to have. And the injection molds that we did for these are very similar to that. But the step up that you go from doing something like this in your living room to doing injection molding like this and doing quality and serious manufacturing on the circuit boards, it's a huge step up. We managed to do it all with a team of, I think, 7 people at the start, and it was a very serious year. But I think the reason that I'd say this is I think that you guys are going to be exposed to the same type of pressures and strains that we were as a team, with so many people counting on you, and so many people wanting the thing that you're doing, and you're going to have a similar experience with communities behind you, and with goals to meet, with deadlines to get to. What you're doing right now is like extremely similar to I mean, probably in a lot of ways, it's probably a lot more complicated than what we were doing with a team of 7. And so it's something that I think actually is pretty amazing, and it's something that we try and integrate into PyTop, which I'll talk about a little later on. But yeah, that's what PyTops look like now. I think they're pretty slick. Don't let the green. Colorful green color kind of fool you. There's a lot of tech in this. PyTops have been responsible for a lot of world firsts. World's first low-ran enabled laptop, so you can control IoT bits and pieces that you build from literally kilometers away. There's a lot of we work with RS components. Who here knows RS components? Anybody? Or Allied Electronics? Their American version. Where do you get your things from? They do a lot of projects with PyTops that are kind of world first bits and pieces, specifically to do with IoT data collection, extreme low cost data collection. That's one of the things that afterwards, if you want to chat with me or Will about how you can integrate PyTops into your solar car, specifically for things like power consumption, when you should kind of maybe some ideas on when you should think about towing your car versus not towing your car, how to tie in the weather in terms of how much how much power you're going to be able to get during the day. There's a lot of cool things that you can do with a PyTop at sort of very entry-level prices, and that's one of the things that we at PyTop wanted to do when we were making the whole thing, because it was started by 2 friends in a living room, and we didn't have a whole lot of money to do anything, and so the point about it is to make this kind of tech and make quite serious tech ultra affordable. So PyTop is a solar car challenge. I kind of jumped the gun in terms of what I think you can do with it, but again, the best part about PyTop, we had we have PyTop champions, and we have PyTop junior champions, which are sort of around your age as well. One of our PyTop junior champions in the UK just won a Princess Diana award. Some of you might be too young to remember who that is, but part of the royal family over in the UK, wonderful woman. he won a Princess Diana Award for using PyTop to teach lots of kids, but he integrated PyTop into this thing, BBC Microbit. Do you guys know anybody know what that is? It's like it's kind of like a little Arduino board, kind of ready baked for you. But he integrated that in a way that we hadn't seen before, and he ended up winning this big national award for it. We have some other junior champions that do things like, well, a lot of data collection for their school. Another one actually built they do like learning management systems in their, or quasi-learning management systems in their schools. So there's a lot of people building a lot of things around PyTop.
In California, kind of a fun story. One of the students in one of our customers in California wanted to see whether he could connect to the data that's coming from the buoys to track for tsunamis. So he has tsunami data collection on his PyTop by tapping into remote data coming from the ocean buoys out on the California coast. It's that flexible, and again, it just leads into how much creativity, what do you want to accomplish, and then finding a way to do it. So it's kind of cool.
So yeah, each team, when you sign up, you're going to get a PyTop. The cool thing about a PyTop is you can take bits and pieces and plug it into the modular rail, and they'll do things that you program them to do. So that's actually the inventor's board up there. But if you come up here, you'll see a proto board, which is one that you can solder components onto. So that, kind of the special thing about this is you can literally solder components directly onto a proto board, plug it into your PyTop, and then program it all inside this environment. If you really wanted to, you can like pop a battery on that, or use something like a low-RAM module, or create an IoT like sort of widget for your car, and then have that talk to your PyTop. And again, you can it's all in one space, so you don't have to mess around with a bunch of Uno boards and a bunch of breadboard sort of Arduino bits and pieces. So yeah, think about this thing, the proto board, which you'll get, or you'll get quite a few of those because that's the whole idea of those ones. It's kind of like a supercharged breadboard. You can literally turn it into almost anything that you might need. A speaker so that so that you can have sound. And then we've also got some other cool stuff which may or may not be useful, but it kind of could be quasi Knight Rider of light. The pulse board, that's got a 7x7 light array. It's got a microphone. It's got a speaker. A lot of our students actually use it to record their own sound clips and make their own sound samples using Sonic Pi inside of Raspberry Pi. It's also integrated with Amazon Alexa, so and although we don't support it, it'll work with Cortana and it'll work with Siri as well, but you would have to build that.
Google has an API for their own people.
It'll work with that too?
The Python library.
Yeah. There's
I had fun with it, sorry.
Yeah. No, and there's that Google AIY thing, and
yeah.
I'll talk with them about that. But so you could potentially work some cool speech stuff in there, and see what you come up with.
I should point out that your technology board has had these 3 units for several months now, and they have been working on various applications that you can then apply when you get your PyTop laptop as well. So we're going to hear from them a little later this afternoon on things that they have discovered or worked on that you can be applying. And we also have folks here who are experts in finding the coolest things in the universe to do through your PyTop and connect to it. So you'll get a nice, rich experience through this weekend of how you can apply it to your races. And then something else that we do in terms of well, how does a school usually use PyTops? Well, one of the things that I say to schools a lot is that, well, we're actually built for schools. I think a lot of what we term as like STEM based technology or STEAM based technology, they chucked arts in there. Which, I love art. I had a scholarship for art, but I think it's part and parcel of design, so or rather engineering. So I don't think they need to put the A in there.
but a lot of people put living room toys into classrooms, and honestly, I think that it's about time that schools, and in particular teachers, really start focusing on things that are built specifically for the classroom, things that are built for group learning, things that are going to encourage like some serious collaborative learning, like the Solar Car Challenge. So we do charging trolleys, support, warranties, the whole lot. So when your teams are working with PyTops, we will have an email for you to get in touch with us. We're likely by the time we'll have a phone number for you to call as well. And the cool thing about PyTop support is actually most of them are engineers or have an engineering background. And so support isn't the only thing they do at PyTop, but you'll actually get some what I would call like real support with PyTop. It won't just be somebody sort of saying, oh, all right, like I'll put you in touch with somebody else. They'll actually, they've actually built some really cool things. Actually, Alan, our head of support over in the UK, has built like 3D print, like from scratch 3D printers, massive 3D scanning booths, and things like that. So he's got a lot of experience with that kind of thing. So I'd like to open it up to questions because I find that it's better to chat with people. Anybody have any questions specifically about PyTop?
How much would it cost me to buy one?
Oh yeah, so the $319.99 comes with, that's free shipping, comes in a cool box. You get over 20 projects to work with, and we have hundreds of hours of STEM-based content on the platform, and it's got all your usual stuff. I know it's a laptop that opens up, but it's got all your Google Drive stuff, a full Microsoft Office compatible suite. It's got turtle art on there. It's got Minecraft on there.
Yes, this is pretty good.
It's got the whole lot. It's like a laptop itself. Yeah, so $319.
Are you still retailing versions that come without the Raspberry Pi in case we have our own?
Yeah. So yeah, you can buy it with or without the Raspberry Pi. If you don't buy it with the Raspberry Pi, you just...
Could you all hear that question in the back?
Oh, does it come, can you buy it without the Raspberry Pi in it? I mean, the answer is yes. If you buy it without, it's $35 less. It's the cost of a Pi. And actually the reason, you would be surprised at how complicated it gets as soon as you decide to add one variation of a product in. So you take out a Pi and then all of a sudden, you know all about it. There's like, it exponentially increases the amount of SKUs you have, which is like the codes that allow warehousing to send out to everywhere, right? But we're all makers, and we know a lot of people have their own stuff, and so it's like, it's part of the accessibility thing is letting people get it without one.
You might mention also the future upgradability of...
Oh yeah, I should say, yeah, one of the very cool things about PyTop is when a new Raspberry Pi comes out, you can just take the old one out, put the new one in, and then bam, you've got yourself a fully upgraded hardware platform. The Raspberry Pi Foundation are great people. We've worked with them really closely for the last, since PyTop really started. And yeah, we make sure that the PyTop you see here today is going to be relevant in 2 years or 3 years when all new technology is out. And actually, the PyTop 1, which was so this version of PyTop came out October last year in 2017, and that PyTop went from working. When it was released, it was with the Raspberry Pi Model B. And then came the 2 and the B plus version of that, and then some side version. The original PyTops we used to have to ship with a Wi-Fi dongle because that Raspberry Pi didn't have Wi-Fi or Bluetooth enabled on it, but thank God they put it on there. Yeah?
I teach digital electronics, so it looks like there's a lot of application there, and then it looks like there's a lot of programming.
Yeah.
Is there other things that this is applicable to in school?
Yeah, so something I didn't touch on completely is, so PyTop comes with a full learning management suite as well. So from a teacher's perspective, like, again, I think this is is why we focus on school so much and not so much on on the living room. Is that, well, the great thing about computer science is, it's the same in China as it is here in the US, as it is in Latin America, as it is over in Europe. But the difference is like at what age do you teach the skills, and how, in what order. Different teachers like to teach different things and use different items to teach the same skill. And so PyTop's come with something called PyTop Classroom. Classrooms is a web-based portal that you go onto as a teacher, and you just get access to all of our worksheets and lesson plans. You can organize them by skill, and then as a teacher or a really hotshot parent, you can select the different worksheets that you want, and you can create your own custom curriculum. Your students just pop a code in there, and then it serves up the lesson plans that you've selected for your kids. If you don't like exactly what we've got on the lesson plans, you can go into them and edit them, so you can add your own text, your own pictures, soon your own video, your own simple and complex code tests. Right now we focus on Python, so Python 2 and 3, but at the start of next school year we'll have a full Java AP course for America. In Europe, actually, what most people study is Python. It's much better.
More relevant.
Yeah, and more relevant. But we've got Java, and I think America's going to slowly shift over to Python. But yeah, so there's that. There's also a lot of other kind of teacher-specific benefits that we have. You get a snazzy welcome pack, T-shirts, all sorts. Yeah.
So the OS.
Yeah. So question is, what operating system does it run on? It's a Linux-based operating system. So it's a fork of Debian. Means you can pretty much write anything you want for it. And if you're, if you're so inclined, you can get games like Quake and Doom and other random games to work on your PyTop. Yeah.
And one of the challenges, of course, with using Raspberry Pi-based platforms is needing the OS and all. We've got that fully integrated. It comes with the system. It's called Polaris. It's our own OS. It's based on Linux. So it really helps integration not only in the individual project basis, but also into the classroom. So that it comes with the system on the memory card, and you can just ready to go. So that's really helpful.
And you turn it on about 10 seconds later, everything's up and you're good.
So can you say that again?
You turn it on about 10 seconds later, it's up and everything's ready to go.
Okay, that's what I thought you said.
Really
Nice.
Yeah, which is actually a good point. Part of
better than anything else I've ever turned on.
Well, part of the whole idea of having the PyTop is that we want it to be basically your ideal development environment, but that's not limited to just software. It's cool to build things, but it can take a lot of deployment time to build things, and that's something we focus on. What kind of boards does it have? Oh, so it's got a Raspberry Pi 3 in there. In terms of the, if you wanted to, we don't support them, so that you'd have to look to the community or do your own work on it. You could put things like the ASUS Tinkerboard in there, or anything that's got like a 40-pin layout, a 40-pin connector layout, which is typically the most common layout these days. But yeah, it might turn it into a bit of a Frankenstein device. But yeah, with enough will, there's always a way.
Did I hear him say boards, sorry, or ports?
Ports.
Oh, ports.
Ports.
Wow.
So ports. It's
ignore everything I just said.
So it basically it has the same ports that the Raspberry Pi basically has. So you can interface with it over UART, I2C, SPI, and obviously you've got USB on the back. So you've got a flexible range of options on how you want to. I didn't actually see who asked the original question, so I'm just directing it in this general direction. But I hope that answers the question.
Since it's Raspberry Pi, can you just any language?
Yeah, yes you can. And we are working to have some some of the community, like some of the things that you wouldn't get on a regular, on a regular sort of Raspberry Pi distro, is things like the battery management in terms of just showing you how much battery you've got. But there are some community-based downloads that you can find to have all that work on your particular flavor. Yeah, it's Broadcom chipset.
So it's an ARM-based processor.
Yeah.
What other kinds of questions?
Okay.
I guess it's kind of hard to imagine this, but is this what you wanted to do when you were growing up in school? Like, I know you mentioned dropping the CS course for...
So is this what he wanted to do when he was in school, when he was growing up?
No, as in I hadn't imagined it. Going to that, I went to university to do a political philosophy degree. I mean, by all means, do one. They're really fun. I had a good time doing that. I did a law degree afterwards. I graduated into the economic recession, and no one was hiring lawyers. So I didn't get a job in that. So I became a political consultant, which I left doing as quickly as I could. I was a foreign exchange journalist for the City AM and The Economist for a bit. And then I left that to, I basically, someone mistook me for somebody else when I was doing that, and they thought that I could build websites, and so I needed to pay rent, and so I said, yeah, I can build a website, and so I went away and learned how to make a website, and then built a website for him, and then it turns out that guy had a lot of friends who needed websites built for them. And so I just started building all these websites, and then I started writing automated research algorithms, and luckily then got into this program called Entrepreneur First, which is it's a pre-idea accelerator in London, and they basically take you based on technical talent and put you in a room with like 50 other people and go like, yeah, go make companies, and we'll kind of guide you. And so I met my co-founder Ryan there, and we made PyTop, and they told us, they were like, this is a stupid idea. Don't make hardware, and it's crazy. But we did it anyway, and then yeah. So actually last year we were awarded. We're one of the UK's fastest growing tech startups. We've won several education awards. So we won Education Startup Company of the Year last year at the largest education trade show. And this year we're up for Best Digital Device and Education Innovators of the Year. I was lucky because I finally found something that I really liked to do. And I really wish that I'd had exposure to something that was a little more interesting than Excel, because like, especially in school, sometimes it would have been really fun to be able to do something meaningful on a computer, because, I was on a computer all the time, just on the internet and stuff. So it would have been really good. But yeah.
Any other questions? Back there.
Sorry, I can't hear you very well.
Playing with these things before and reading forums, there's a lot of debate about one's made in the UK and one's made in China. And development opinion on one or the other, don't care.
Oh, in terms of the Raspberry Pi?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, my opinion on that, I've actually been to the manufacturing facility in Wales, in the UK. And they make quite a few there. In my experience, I've had no personal difference between either or, and
they're a slightly different shade of green.
Yeah, they're a slightly different shade of green. But in my experience, most of the time when I brick a lot of Raspberry Pis, and it doesn't matter where they're from.
One up here and then.
Oh, what the one?
All right, last question, then we're going to wrap some stuff up here.
Cool.
What was your inspiration for developing such a submersive and versatile piece of technology?
Oh, cool. Yeah, so what was the inspiration for making it? My friend, well, my co-founder, was at Oxford University doing engineering, and he's like a genius. He basically found a way to make the HDMI signal, like the LVDS signal, to turn into HDMI signal in a very affordable way. And I was like, you know, I would like to do projects on the Raspberry Pi, but if I want to take it to your house, I've got to put it in all this, I've got to pack it all up and then take it out and then deploy it at your house, and it just takes forever. And that was a problem that we were solving for ourselves, and so it was like, I just want a really good development environment that's like more than just coding. Like, what do hardware people get when they want to learn? And the answer used to be, when you get a laptop and you get like Arduino boards and you get breadboards and Uno boards and you get, you know, like some of these little plugins, like I think that's like a little Wi-Fi module there, where you get, you know, you build, you know, timers and that kind of stuff, but it's like, well, how do I make it all, like how do I just do that? Because I wasn't able to do that. I don't know how Ryan ended up doing it either, because he, like both of our parents are they're like salespeople and builders, he was, actually I need to ask him how he ended up doing engineering. But yeah, that was the inspiration, to make it easy to learn, to get your foot in the door, and I call it like low floor, high ceiling. So it's super easy to get in, and there's loads of stuff to do. I've seen some, you know, like the low-ran stuff is the most serious stuff I've ever seen made with a PyTop, and it's pretty cool.
Wasn't that very first PyTop prototype solar panels, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, yeah. I should say.
Strangely full circle.
Yeah. The first. Well, yeah. Yeah. Okay. So the very first PyTop prototype was made, instead of with battery cell, like LiPo battery cells, it was made with supercapacitors, and it had a solar panel with a long wire, and you put it in the sun, and it charged the supercapacitors, and it had a battery life of 2.5 minutes. But the reason that we were using supercapacitors, right, was because they're good for 5 million cycles, whereas a regular battery is good for maybe 5,000 to 7,000 cycles. And so you'll find that, you know, that's why your laptop, after with a PyTop, after like 4 or 5 years, we use really good batteries. But with your regular laptop that you would get after like a year or 2 years, it degrades a lot. Like they can degrade by up to 60% in an 18-month period. A PyTop degrades by 14% in the same amount of time. And so yeah, it was supercapacitors, and the only reason there was batteries in there at all was because, well, we need to like, what if the sun goes away, and we were like, we need to let people have time to save their work. And we thought 2.5 minutes was plenty time. Because, you know, as soon as the sun came out, you were back working. And so yeah, that was the first PyTop prototype, was like that. It's, you know, not your first idea isn't always the best, but it might have a kernel of something good in there.
And to give you some insight into Jesse and his focus, the real reason the company exists is because someone told him he couldn't do it. And if you tell him he can't do it, he will do it. And that speaks to the focus and the drive and the mindset of not letting anything get in your way. And that's really, and which is why it's such wonderful to follow him in this vision, in this mission, and to bring it to y'all. I wanted to just touch base on this last slide up here for a minute, because we have something really exciting that we want to offer to all of you, all of the teams here. And some of you, there are about 6 or 7 teams who are here. I've already heard about this, but I want to tell you about it as well. We are launching next week something called the PyTop Innovation Challenge. And it is going to be an international program. It's going to be bringing together an entire community of education. It's going to encompass having access to all the things you see on here and so much more. It's going to be an opportunity to bring STEAM in a very compelling way into your school. And we can talk a little bit more about the details, but this is, the Innovation Challenge is going to be a comprehensive set of curriculum and projects that talk about design, talk about marketing, talking about managing inventory, and ultimately designing a program, an annual program that will change every year to do something good for society. It could be improving solar technology. It could be how do you recycle plastic more efficiently? How do you track for rainwater in drought areas? It could be all. Each year will be a compelling new capstone challenge. So the program we will be launching it, and it will be running, informing our customers from next week through till June, July. At which time schools will be signing up. There will be an annual fee to be part of the Innovation Challenge, which will be $10,000 to get all the hardware, unlimited support, unlimited refresh of new technology, so the products in your in-house will never get old. New sets of accessories and devices, new content, new curriculum on an ongoing basis, so that you have this really rich hub of product and of technology and information and curriculum and a project. At the last 8 weeks of the project, each team, each group, each school will receive a set of materials, if you will, just think of it in that term, a set of materials to help you achieve whatever that capstone challenge is for the year. And that capstone challenge will have 8 weeks to complete a hands-on project that will then be competing against every other school in the United States, and in Europe, every other school in Europe. So it'll be an international program. The winning teams ultimately will have their winning projects on display at, for example, one of the technology museums in California, or Boston Computer Society in the East Coast. We'll have it in a very visible, way. So you get national recognition if you are a winning team. And so, in addition, of course, all the goodness that is associated with it. So you get all this information. We'll have weekly, or we'll have a web-based training for the teachers to make sure they feel very comfortable with instructing their teams or their school students. So it's a very comprehensive program, and I'm just giving you a very high-level look at it. We're going to actually be refining it through the springtime, but it's very important on such a long lead project that we begin informing everyone about it now. We need pilot schools to be the first students in the world to participate. It'll be a 5-week curriculum, no charge. You get the equipment, the curriculum, training, and the opportunity to, in effect, define what this program becomes for students around the world. And this program will last for years. We're going to be investing very heavily to make sure that it's available all around the world, and to be, so the solar car teams at your schools, you, are exactly the kind of school that would be well equipped to take on a program like this for a 5-week pilot, and inform us on what went well, what didn't go well, how well did the technology work, what do you need in improvement in the curriculum, how do you want information delivered, how did the students react, how did you react, what can we do really, really well, so that by the time we get to August and September, the new school year, when thousands of students all around the world are participating, you will have helped inform them on how that's going to work. So, so we would like to invite anyone in any team here today that would like to be one of our pilot schools. We would like to talk to you about getting that set up. And it would be a very, very valuable effort for ourselves. It would also be a wonderful experience for you. And most importantly, you're going to be helping educators and students really around the world be ready for this kind of program. Any question?
What time frame are you looking to start that? And
March 1, 5 weeks.
I should say we're semi-flexible with the pilot because it's really working with the schools on that. You know, what you'll get is, you see that cool looking trolley up there with all that stuff in there. An important part you forgot to mention is it comes with an unlimited warranty. Yeah, so don't do it. But even if you throw the laptop against the wall because something, you know, because what you're building isn't working, we'll replace it. And
the cost for the pilot project?
The pilot is free. So we've got about 15 spots left for the pilot, and yeah, I'd love for you guys to get involved. It should be a lot of fun. I think it'd be cool.
If you decided after you've done the pilot that you want to keep the systems and continue on to be part of the Innovation Challenge national program starting in the fall, you can maintain that and then just begin the funding at that point. Otherwise, you can just return the systems and that sort of thing. So there's no cost. It's really helping us to do a great job putting this thing together, because you can't just come up with ideas and put it out there and just hope it's going to work. You really need educators and students to feedback and have that continuous feedback loop. So we just want to make sure that invitation was very clear, and we'll be up here as well. Adam, Will, and myself. My name is Dean, of course, and Jesse, our CEO. Please come on up. We'll be here through this weekend. If you want to think about it, talk to your students, come up and talk to us. If you have any questions, we will have a kind of a sign-up sheet and all. We would really love to walk away with 15 schools for the pilot for this spring. This is, I can't think of a better place to start than what you all do. So anyway, anything else, Jesse?
No, I think that about wraps it up.
All right.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you very much.